All right, locals is in just a couple of hours. I took some time to go over pretty much all the matches from the YCS and really try to learn the best I can from them. And I think I've put together a pretty solid list. It's it's a little different than the one that I played before, but the core is basically still the same. So I'll show you guys the update that we're gonna go with for at least tonight. I might try something different tomorrow, and if I do, obviously I'll change the deck and I'll show you guys. But this is gonna be the updated list post YCS Anaheim and learning like a lot of the cool stuff that I got to learn from that event. So let's take a look. Alrighty, so we're just going to go over the updates to the deck really quick. The non-engine has changed a little bit with the new Forbidden Unlimited list, as well as a couple of small changes in the extra deck. I'm not going to go into too much detail about like each of the cards that are like the standard. If you guys want to see like the in-depth profile, you can definitely check out my the last episode where I go over what the Ryzeal cards do. So first, of course, you have 3 ice, 3 sword, or 3 X'd, 3 sword, 1 node, and then the 3 pot of desires, 3 bonfire, 1 cross, 1 plug-in, and 1 plasma hole. After the YCS, I noticed a lot of people weren't playing plasma hole, or they were side decking it. I still feel like plasma hole is worth being in the main deck. I like the utility a lot, and also I think that the Ryzeal mirror match is going to be slower. From what I've noticed, it's slower than like the Snake Eye matches and stuff were, even with all the non-engine, because you're both playing such a simple and fair deck that it'll get the ability to be played more. It also just makes going first like way stronger, and it has some utility when you go second, specifically to dodge stuff, but I don't know how realistic that is. But then for the non-engine, we have 3 Ash, 3 Droll, 3 Imperm. These are just all the 3 ofs. I still think Droll is really good, and I think that with the increase in Ryzeal presence, most likely, playing Droll for the mirror match will be really good. Obviously, it's also really good into certain other matchups, and then not very good into Malice, but that is all right. That's a small price to pay, I think, at least for now. Then we have 2 Fuelos, 2 Perulia. I like the 2-2 split on these just because I couldn't really figure out which one I wanted more, like for 3 of one and 1 of the other. Although it's not as necessary to go 3 and 1 anymore because I'm actually not playing Crossout, but I still wanted to have these for more coverage and made sighting a little bit easier. And then 2 Veiler. I guess in theory I could play a 3rd Veiler and cut like the Perulia or the Fualos and put it to the side. But I think I like having this split of all these cards here for more non-engine. And then I'm playing 1 Thrust, 1 Talent, 1 Called by the Grave, and then 3 Solemn Strike. This was Steven Santoli's idea to play instead of Crossout Designator, because that just leads towards bad deck building. Because you have to play like weird ratios and like your sighting patterns have to get really weird because of that. So this is just what we're going with. Again, with the format being a little bit slower thanks to like the lack of Snake Eyes and stuff, and decks like Yubel not being quite as popular and powerful, I think Solemn Strike will get a lot of utility there. Even going second, like I can just set it and then just not like basically just not even do anything, and then I can just strike a key card, and that can be enough. So that is the main deck. I believe it is exactly 40 cards. I don't totally remember because I just threw it together. For the side deck, we have 2 Detonator, 2 Duo Drive. Still don't think you ever need a 3rd of either of them right now. Dweller, Exciton Knight, Utopic Ray Lancer, Light Dragon, Baguska, Dagaris. This is one thing that I'm torn on. This may actually become Daigusto Emerald tonight. I'm kind of just on the fence about this one slot. It could also be second Mirror Logic Aggregator, but I kind of like the idea of the Emerald because then you have another way to recycle resources that doesn't get affected by desires, which is important because sometimes you'll banish your cross and stuff, and that sucks. But this slot's currently up in the air, and then there's Tornado Dragon, the Mirror Logic Aggregator, Typhon, and Donner for when you get hit with like Nibiru and stuff. Then the side, I'm citing the 3 Lancia still, and then I'm actually citing 3 Ghost Bell. This is because Lab is very popular in my area. There's a few Lab players. It's also solid into the mirror match because you can hit plug-in, it can stop the node, things like that. But also it's solid into Malice, which is going to be important because that deck is gaining popularity in my area as well. So I think just having more cards inside in for that is going to be really good because I'm going to take out most of the graveyard-oriented hand traps. So like Droll obviously comes out, and then like the Veilers can come out as well. Then there's the third of each Mulch Army just to have them, and then I'm playing 3 Metaltronus. I'm playing this instead of Ultimate Slayer. It loses to the same things, but it being a quick effect, I think is more valuable than Ultimate Slayer being able to hit 2 cards potentially, because this also gives me a body to work with. So I think that might be really solid. We'll have to see. I've never actually played with this card. I've always appreciated what it does, so we'll have to see how that goes. And then I'm citing 3 Solemn Judgments. I'm playing these actually over D-Barrier. The reason being, I can still side into Metaltronus if I really wanted to. But I think playing Strike and Judgment together just gets you so much more value. And it also, Judgment stops the only board breaker that I'm actually scared of right now being evenly matched. So having this as a counter to that, I think is going to be really good. And then the 15th card is actually Skill Drain. I'm playing this after, I believe, I can't confirm, but I'm pretty sure I saw it played in one of the future matches. It wasn't played, it was just I saw it in one of the decks, and it was a Ryziel deck. As they were leafing through, they were like filtering through their deck, I think I saw Skill Drain, which then instantly made me try to figure out why you would side that, and then I remembered that just like in Snake Eyes, you can turn this off basically at will, because of Ice Ryziel and Node Ryziel. You can literally just send it to the graveyard for the cost for either of them, and then you're good to go. So this is the deck for right now. Like I said, the Photon might change to a Daigusto Emerald. I'm not too sure on that yet. If it does, I will make sure to note that in one of the match breakdowns. But yeah, let's get over to locals. All right, so we are at locals. I ended up doing the Daigusto Emerald over the Photon Starliege thing. I just felt like I wanted the longer grind game, and we just finished round 1, and I played against my ultimate nemesis of Goblin Biker. Game 1, I ended up going first. He ogred my duo drive, and then I ended on Detonator, and then the next turn I managed to establish a Dweller and then OTK, after using Detonator and hand traps to stop his pushes. Game 2, I opened up Perulia and Fuelos. Because I opened up with those, he could thrust for D-Barrier, and then I died. And then Game 3, I opened up with Ice into Sword into X, then summoned the Duo Drive again. That got ogred again, so I think I'm just going to stop doing that line pretty much altogether. And then I ended up with Detonator. I set Judgment. I had Judgment, Ash, and then a Detonator for 3. And that was enough to stymie his turn, because he started doing Fiendsmith stuff, activated Engraver with Requiem out, and then activated Requiem. I changed the Ash, which shut that down. So then the Engraver came out. When he activated Requiem to equip to Engraver, I chained the Detonator, he chained a Droplet, and then I chained the Judgment, crushing his field. He passed turn, and I normal summoned the Ice Ryziel in my hand, because I opened up 2 of them. I normal summoned the second one to swing for game. So round 1 is in the books, and we'll have to see how rounds 2 through 4 go. Just finished round 3. We are now 2-1. We just played against Labyrinth in round 3 and Lightsworn in round 2, which is what we lost to, was Lightsworn. Just like last week, I played against Rob again, but this time I had a much better game 1, where I managed to win pretty quickly. Game 2 was a pretty intense grind game, where he eventually just ran me out of resources. Despite me having pretty much everything. He used SP Little Knight to banish Ryziel Cross, which then meant I couldn't recycle more resources. And then game 3, he just OTK'd me. I drew really poorly. I tried to Desires, banished all 3 swords and like 2 X'd, and then drew 2 more hand traps and just died. Round 3, I played against Labyrinth, which is a pretty scary matchup, and he is main deck teched to beat Ryziel. He goes first and sets multiple welcomes and establishes the Lady. Passes play to me, and he immediately shotguns a Welcome Labyrinth. I chain Call by the Grave to prevent the lady from setting a trap card. And I hit his Lovely that he had to discard. Or maybe that was game 2. Game 1, he ended up activating DDV against me, which is really good. It hits every Rise except Ice, but I didn't use Ice yet, so I managed to establish Ice to go into Duo Drive, to go into Cross, put back stuff, and then I managed to get to the standard end field of Detonator, Cross, Duo Drive, but then I also had used Thrust to set Imperm, so then I ended up having 2 Imperms and 2 strike sets, so it was impossible for him to come back. Game 2, I ended up drawing 2 Ash Blossoms, Skill Drain, Call by the Grave, and Desires. When he went to activate a Welcome on my turn, I used Ash. He activated Welcome, I chained Call by, this is where the Ash came in. And then he activated Big Welcome, and I chained Ash. So that locked down those. Then I made Duo Drive, and he struck it. He used Solemn Strikes, that sucked. But then I managed to push through, make another one, and then I made the Detonator, and he just couldn't come back from there. His hand is too weak. So we are 2-1. Our only loss being to Lightsworn, because he just managed to have True Swarm and a bunch of pushes that I couldn't get over, and his monster is really big. But with 1 round left, we'll have to see how it goes. Hopefully we can get some prizing and be good to go. So we finished 3-1. I played against Ritual Beast in the last round, which is a really weird matchup. The guy is really solid, but we ended up winning. I lost game 1. He managed to just OTK me, and I ran out of resources. Yeah, I ran out of resources really hard. I think I messed up pretty bad, but couldn't do anything. Game 2, I went first, and I bricked. I had Skill Drain, 2 strikes, and 2 hand traps, and I think one of them was Lancia. I Lancia him, and then I double strike him. We end up getting into a grind game, and at one point, I end up using, I summon X'd, sending Aggregator, and I use Chainlink 1X to Chainlink 2 Aggregator, targeting my Skill Drain to negate it. So then I get to search. Couldn't do too much, and we ended up grinding out, and I ended up winning the game. And then game 3, he normal summoned Rampengu as his only line. I Veiler it, and then I proceed to OTK him. So the deck ended up performing very well. Strike was really good. That card overperformed. Metaltronus didn't come up, and Daigusto Emerald came up twice. It was okay. We'll have to see how tomorrow goes, though. Just finished round 2. We are 2-0 against... round 1, I played against Pearly with a Melodious Engine, which is really cool. Game 1, he simply got OTK'd. He couldn't do anything. I ran him out of resources really quickly, and then game 2. Well, he also misplayed with his Imperm, I believe. And then game 2, I shut him down really early, and then just quickly OTK'd him from there. And then round 2, I just played against the Ryzeal Mirror match. And game 1, I forced him to end on Detonator, Plugin, and Cross. I impermed the Detonator, and then when I summoned my Duo Drive, he activated Mourner. I used Call by the Grave, and then activated Talents to take the Detonator that was impermed, so that way he couldn't detach from it for Cross, which then also meant that his plugin was turned off. And then proceeded just to kill him, because he didn't have any way to do anything, and I was going to be nib-proof. So that was game 1. Game 2, he normal summoned Sword. I activated Imperm, and he ended up making a really bad misplay where he didn't realize he could just summon Sword with Sword out, and then just Detonator, and then Cross and pass. So he made a huge blunder there and ended up losing because of it. So we're 2-0, 2 rounds left. Round 3 is in the books. We are 3-0. Just faced the Memento deck. Game 1, I opened up with Fuelos, so he couldn't really do too much. And then he apparently made a few blunders, but I quickly OTK'd him. And then, because I OTK'd him because I had Talents and Thrust, so I was just able to go nuts. Talents has really been overperforming. It might be worth considering to play more than one, just because of all the hand traps and things like that. And then game 2, he opened up very weak, and I opened up with just I went Ice into Sword, grab X'd, summon X'd, and then I activated Cross to make sure he couldn't use any hand traps, and OTK'd him. So we are 3-0, one more round left. I will probably be playing against Malice, and if not Malice, then the Azamina White Forest toy box deck. So one of those is going to be significantly easier than the other one. So we are 0-1, just faced against Ubel. I lost round 1, which is pretty crazy. Game 1 was pretty quick. I won, through usual kind of shenanigans. Tons of hand traps. Game 2, I lost because I drew literally nothing but hand traps. I drew double Veiler, double Imperm, double Ash. There's a Droll. Just couldn't do anything. Desires didn't get me anywhere, so that happens. And then game 3, I opened up with Skill Drain, Solemn Strike, Impermanence, Plug-in, and an Ash Blossom. Then I drew, after being forced to flip the Skill Drain, I drew Ice Ryzeal. And typically that's fine because you can just use Ice to send the Skill Drain and special summon the Ice, and then you get to play from there. But I needed any other body, any other level 4 or Ryzeal to get to actually do that. To get to play, because Ice only works on normal summon. Unfortunately, that never happened. So what I ended up doing was I normal summoned the Ice, and then overlaid into Typhon, attacked, and then a couple turns later he realized that he could make a copy of Underworld Goddess, which was pretty rough because I could have avoided that by just attacking the sequence that was in the field instead of the Engraver. I was valuing making him continually put back cards with the Engraver, hoping he would run out, as opposed to getting rid of the Link 2 material of sequence. So that was, I don't really know if I would say that was a misplay so much as it was something I think I might have misvalued. And so then I just simply ran out of resources and never got to see another engine card and couldn't play, which is unfortunate, but we're 0-1. We'll have to see how it goes in the next 3 rounds. If I lose again, I'm out for prizing, and then it's an early night. Round 2 is in the books. Just beat Malice Kashtira 2-0. Game 1, I opened up just pretty much the stones, and just kind of pushed everything, and he had to try to deal with Detonator for 3 and Strike and stuff like that. He couldn't do it. And then game 2, he drew very poorly, and I didn't. And then, I just quickly killed him. I had Lancia, he had talents to look at my hand and rip my Ice, and then top deck another Ice and just kind of killed him from there. So we are 1-1, and we'll have to see how it goes. Okay, so last round happened. I didn't record it in the moment. I was a little frustrated with my play, but I ended up going 1-2 drop at locals, which is pretty brutal. I lost to the mirror match round 3, and I played against local player Mark, who he's pretty good. Ended up getting second place at Worlds, so he knows a thing or two about the game. And we discussed it afterwards, and it was just my sequencing. There really isn't too much to say other than that. The build felt a little weaker too. I think I might have to switch back to Crossout, even though I don't really like it that much. This episode is going to wrap up with that, as well as some thoughts on... I was going Detonator past pretty much every game, and I think that in the mirror match, that you can't necessarily do that. I think you have to go pretty hard and be really greedy. So that might be something I have to consider, because like they're just gonna have so many hand traps that if you go detonator pass and that's it, and then they go for the play of like duo drive and stuff, and then it works, then you just like you're so far out that it doesn't matter. And then that's kind of why I think I might need to play Crossout Designator 2, is because then it forces them to have multiple hand traps, as opposed to the way I was playing it before, or this week where I was just like a lot more passive. But like, you know, this is also just the first episode, like the first full episode I've had of playing the deck. So these are just thoughts that I'm having as we go. The side deck definitely needs work. Yeah, we'll have to look at like the hand trap lineup and stuff. But that's going to wrap it up for this week. Hopefully the next week is better. We'll have to see how it goes. Okay, looking over the notes, I apparently never made a round 4 recap of the second tournament where I played Azamina White Forest in round 4. I ended up winning that 2-0 pretty easily. Game 1, he just couldn't keep up with like any of my resources. I lost that die roll too. I was actually 0 for 4 in die rolls, which is crazy. But my hand traps managed to make sure that game 1, I was able to have a successful turn. Like he couldn't do everything he needed to do because I knew that the Azamina cards are going to be a big part of his end board. So I focused on stopping that, and then like his synchros or whatever just didn't matter. So he very quickly got OTK'd. Game 2, however, I had to play through not 1, but 2 Exizon cores, which was ridiculous. And that really sucked because, I mean, getting the bodies back is cool, but having them as level 4s was really, or level 3s was really rough, because then I just had these dead bodies sitting in the field that I couldn't do anything with. So I ended up using them to make like a Donner at one point, and just managed to push through with that. So that tournament we ended up 4-0, which was pretty solid.